All right, this video lesson is for a replica of the Poppies by Monet. Now you want to get your palette set up with your rainbow color order, and let's get started. All right, so we're gonna look at the sky first, and we're gonna use gradient. I have a lot of white. Look at that big wiggly line of white, and I'm gonna start at the top like you see Monet do there, and go from dark to light. And all we're doing is going down. I would use some more pure blue at the top and go down, and what we're doing is going back and forth and feathering or blending. Then I'm going to use some more white near the horizon line. Now if my paint is not flowing, I would add a little bit of water, right? You could dab it on, use your palette, and what you're going to do is go dark to light on the horizon line to do your first layer, guys. Your first layer. Now, as you can see, we're looking at the real Monet right here, and we're doing a replica. So I have printed for all you guys who are here this, and if you're at home online, look at it on the internet, because you wanted to see that the hill kind of comes down around here and down. So I'm gonna add a little more white, and I'm gonna have it lighter near the horizon line, and it's gonna come down and have my little bump of where the hills are gonna go. Okay, so now I'm just going back and forth, and it doesn't matter if it looks stripy and unblended, that's okay, because next what we're going to do is clean our brush. I like to dry it a little bit, get the blue off, maybe dry it with a tissue, if you guys have a tissue, because next we want to get a dry brush and just get white on top of our background to do the puffy clouds. Look at the way his clouds go right off the page, what he's famous for, these beautiful puffy clouds. So we're gonna get the white, and we're gonna do a layer right on top of our background, looking at the real Monet to do a replica. And we're gonna use the tip end of the brush, and we're doing more of a circularization in the way you want it. Now my blue is overpowering, and it's going to take over unless you get more white. So if you guys need more white at this time, shake it up, squeeze out what you need as you need it, but you shouldn't have too much that you waste it, okay? So just a little squeeze like that. All right, drying the brush, dry, and now I'm gonna get some more white, looking at the way the Monet clouds are right off the edge. We're gonna add, see how that is a thicker layer? And this is why we're doing this together. So now you can go right over. All right, we have that first cloud. Let's look at where the next cloud is before we add what I call the underbelly of the cloud. In order to have your clouds look dimensional, this is the fun part where Monet got famous for. You see how I'm doing circularization? That adds a little bit of that shading underneath, but we're gonna add a little bit of different colors as well after we lay out the white foundational shapes of where we're laying out our clouds. So see, Monet has that one on the top middle. So you're gonna first lay out where your clouds are going based on looking at the real Monet, seeing where all his white puffy clouds are, and see how they dive right into the horizon line. So this is why it's really important, guys, and they teach you this in art school if you go at university level, to have your background done before your grass, before the foreground. Okay, see all of Monet's clouds, how they dip right on the horizon line? So that's why you see I'm going around like this. That's called circularization. We're going to do some nice, beautiful, puffy clouds by doing circularization, okay, with the side of your brush. All right, I think based on Monet's famous clouds, we have a good base. When you feel like you have enough clouds for a good replica, and what Monet is famous for are these big, puffy clouds, with what we're going to do is now next the underbelly. What I call the underbelly, I don't know what you call it, right down there, the underneath part of the cloud. For it to look dimensional, you add a little bit of yellow, because clouds, that yellow and blue make green. I do not want bigger green in my sky, so I'm cleaning my brush in water, drying it on a tissue, okay, wiping off the blue, so that way I get a little bit of red with white, is a little bit of pink, if you want to make your own pink. If you don't have pure pink, it's actually nice to make it pure, and a little bit of yellow. So that way I have a little bit of peach that I'm gonna do the underbelly, if you could see underneath the cloud of. So I'm gonna go right here, underneath the cloud, in order to have them dimension, like they look puffy, like you could just grab them. Look at that underneath part right there. So I'm gonna go right underneath the cloud and just do a little bit of feathering Oh, and look at how that's making it a little more dimensional. So I'm getting my peach color. Oh, I don't want green in it. Let me test it first. Always test it on your palette. Oh, it still looks bright. Okay, now we're going underneath the clouds, looking at the Monet the whole time. In order to learn from the world's most famous artist, we're actually looking at the way he does it, and we're emulating it, we're copying it, and that's called replicating it. Or we're doing a replica, a Monet replica. Okay, so I'm doing a little bit of back and forth, doing circularization. All right, so hopefully you have the underbelly. I forgot that little guy, so I'm gonna add a little more red with white, or you could go for the pure pink. Right, a little bit with a little bit of yellow, the colors that it'll be reflecting, and just want to go underneath. All right, so if you have what I call the underbelly with a little bit of grayish, and we're slowly blending up so it's whiter and more bright at the top to bring dimension in your clouds, right? You want to just blend it up a little bit. Your clouds will get a little more dimensional. All right, I'm going back and forth. You see the way I'm holding my brush in circular, just with the tips. I'm not pressing too hard, so they stay white and puffy. All right, once you have the clouds and your background, we're ready to go to the foreground. And the foreground is the grass. Now, how you make green, if you don't have a pure green, is the primary color of blue and yellow. And you want to use, not mix them all together in the pure color, but you want to drag them towards where they meet each other to realize, that's too blue, I need a little more yellow. As you're mixing colors, you want to, and you guys at home, get a nice shade. Now that I have a nice green, I'm gonna add a little bit of orange and red, either one, to make it more of an army green. Now you want to mix at least 3 different colors to have your Monet, but the hills look a little bit dimensional. And that's what the Impressionists got famous for. So you're going to start with your first bump, and I'm going to add a little more red and orange with my green that I just made by mixing yellow and blue, so that way it can look a little more dimensional. And my further hill, I'm going to add a little bit of white too, so it looks like it goes back further in the distance. And that's called atmospheric perspective. So remember, you're looking at the Monet and we're laying down the background color. Okay, so I just have the 2 bumps of where the hills are. Now, do you see how much darker it is? I'm gonna add some more red on here with my blue and yellow to make some green. I'm gonna do a little bit more of an army green and come down and try to go maybe with a little water. You gotta see what you gotta add here when you're blending your colors. Okay, and you guys who are watching this on Google Classroom, I don't know if you guys could zoom in if you're watching it with your phones or not, but it's probably better on the YouTube channel because I'm holding my phone so you guys can actually see it and paint alongside me, and I will be playing this video in my class as we work together. Now look at the direction I'm using the brush. I'm not going straight across to make my hills look straight. I'm going around the curve or the contour of the hills. See the way I'm using my brush? So that way the background, the hill, will look curved. All right, we've laid down our background color of the hills. Still needs a little more dimension. So what we're gonna do is a darker shade, and if you could avoid black, and they teach you in art school, you could get really dark by mixing the colors without having to add black. It looks more natural. Now, in the foreground on the Monet, he's got some grass. But in order to go up and down like this, to show the grass, I'm going to go up and down like this. Look at how I'm now starting to fray the edge, and I'm going like I'm dabbing it on a little bit around the contour or curve of the hills. All right, so around the curve or contour, around the curve. Now I'm going to add a little white because you'll see in the distance there, that further one, he's got a little bit of white back there to show it's further in the distance, okay? Now I'm trying to work really quickly. I know you guys are going to have to pause and catch up just so I can make this video short and sweet. Okay, I'm going to go back and forth, going down the contour of the curve of the hills. My last thing, once I am done with that, I'm going to clean the brush before I do those little bushes in the background, which will be my darkest green to overlay the sky. So I'm going to let that set a little bit, the sky, and do that last. I'm going to dry my brush now, get the green off, right? Getting to spin the edge. I'm going to get it really pointy. And I'm going to get my poppies. Now, this is a replica, so I'm going to do, actually, my poppies, a little bit of red and pink, You could add a little bit of red with a little bit of white, okay? Because you get to decide what color is your favorite with his style. Now, this is what he's famous for. Notice I didn't stick the whole brush in till to the wood part. I just got the tip. So now we're going to look at the way his poppies go, and they're larger in the foreground, and we're going to do what's called the dab. And we're going to dab on the flowers, bigger, closer, and we're going to slowly go up the hill in a curvation way. And we're going to have them really small. Just use the tip of the brush in the background, going down the hill. And we're going to dunk again and get as much red as we want on there. And they should be brighter and a little larger in the foreground. And this is called the dab, where you dab, dab, dab it on there. You guys at home, seen how we're dabbing? Okay, so you want to dab on there. And that, my friends, is called the dab in art, not the dab, the dance move. And that is what Monet's famous for, dabbing on his flowers. Now, if he goes too many flowers, then you could always use your green. Now, look at this hill in the background. Can't really see because he has some white mixed with the red, right? Then I'm gonna test it out here on my palette, just a really light pink. I'm gonna fray the edge, and I'm gonna look at the Monet, and I'm gonna go just really light to show them further in the distance some flowers on this, okay, down the hill, okay? So in the distance, they're really light, just dabbing on really light and small, and the flowers get larger as they're closer. All right, and our last thing will be for the bushes. I'm gonna get I have the red right on my brush, so I'm gonna get my yellow and my blue to make my green. Okay, I'm going for a really dark green. I don't think that's dark enough. I'm gonna add some more to make it army green, some more of my darker colors, and I'm going to make a really dark green to emulate his dark bushes in the distance. And we're going to look at the Monet and get the bushes very carefully with the tip of the brush, so we do not, I repeat, do not ruin your beautiful Monet, your beautiful replica, by having your bushes really, really big, covering your sky. So this bush, that's the bigger one, you got to be really careful just to dab it on there, replicating the way he did. And so with each bush, you're going to come across, and this is where I'm going to get a little bit darker tone, but I'm starting later, just going across, looking at his bushes to see how they're going. Now, your bushes, you see the way Monet does them, where you could see some, the cloud right through it. It's okay to get them where they're not really dark at first, and then I'm going to do another layer where they're a little bit darker, as you could see Monet did, by adding a little more blue, a little more red with my green to get a little bit. I got to kind of mix it around and get really dark. A little more red, okay, for a darker tone to get the bushes a little more further in the distance with the darkest color. Okay, so we're going right off the page with your darkest dark being with these bushes. All right, over and out from the art room. I'm going to be doing my final dabs here of this and doing the horizon line really dark, because that's like a hedge in the distance of where it's going to show over this bump here. Over that is like a darker, like wooded area. All right, over and out for your Monet replica. I can't wait to see yours. Hoo-yah.